Hey guys, welcome to the Seven Figure Box podcast. My name is Andrew Frezza, and today I'm joined by a very special guest, Stu Brauer. Stu's the owner of Urbn Mvmnt in Charlotte, North Carolina. He also has a podcast and business consulting business called WTF Gym Talk, as well as a new project, Microgym University. And Stu, I want to have on the show. I was actually on his podcast a few weeks back, so you guys can check out that episode. But Stu's the person that really kind of got me over the hump of starting my own podcast, this podcast that you guys are listening to, Seven Figure Box. So, I have a lot of inspiration from Stu. Really excited to have him on the show and excited to dive into a lot of knowledge bombs today.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Thank you, man. I had a lot of good feedback from our conversation previously. So I'm excited for this. It's always fun to jam with somebody who is sitting on a similar track, right? Who is talking with gym owner. Like, again, there's a little bit more of a behind the scenes kind of conversation like you and me could start having. And I think someone listening to this who might either own a gym or maybe they just belong to a gym, but they love hearing like how the donuts are made kind of scenario. They're like, holy fuck. Like, I never thought of it like that. And I think that's the benefit of having a conversation with other people who help problem solve in the fitness industry. Right. Definitely. So like all day, like I'll talk with clients and I am, they have the problem. That's the input to me. My output is hopefully a solution, but it's really cool when you get a bunch of problem solvers together. That's where the conversation can take really fucking unique turns and those golden little nuggets everybody likes to talk about just fucking start flowing.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm excited. A lot of this podcast is going to be selfishly asking questions that I want to ask you.
This motherfucker, he just got a free console is what he did. He's like, yeah, come on my podcast. Amen. I respect the hustle.
But anyways, where I wanted to start is, I know you talk a lot about this in various forms with the vlog and on your podcast of just making this transition from CrossFit SouthEnd to Urbn Mvmnt today. And can you walk us through the thinking behind that a little bit? Because like, my general feeling is like you broke something that you almost didn't need to break in a certain sense. Like, it was very successful, and you probably could have evolved to Urbn Mvmnt in a little bit of a way with maybe retaining, and I don't know what percentage of people you retained or lost, but from the way you talked about it, sounds like it was a lot. But I feel like there could have been more of an evolution versus like you really seem to make an effort to break that model and start fresh. Yep. So why go for that versus more of that evolution into this new brand?
Yeah. Cause I guess a bunch of different questions there. And it's this podcast came on the back of a very quick meeting I had where me and my guys were doing our third iteration of the class style of what we're experimenting with here at Urbn Mvmnt, right? I needed something that didn't look like CrossFit. It doesn't look like Orange Theory. It doesn't look like Metabolic, these other models that I have in my market. And I need to create something that truly can stand alone where someone comes in and says, this is truly different. And guess what, guys? It takes years to do. I'm going on over 2 years of experimenting with this, and we're going into our third iteration. Every time we're closer. Now, going to your first question, why break it? Because I didn't own it. Again, I need everyone, and I've talked about this. I found CrossFit early, right? It's like getting a good tip on a stock. I went all in. I reaped the financial benefits of having a CrossFit inside one of the fastest growing cities in the country, which is Charlotte, North Carolina. And then if you get hyper local into the demo of the growth, inside of the fastest growing zip code of Charlotte, North Carolina. I had CrossFit in SouthEnd. That was my affiliate name. Now, I'm not an idiot. That's part luck and that's part I knew that area was going to do well. But I sit back and what did I own? I can't sell CrossFit SouthEnd the name. I don't own it. I had an organization reach out to me to purchase my affiliate name, the associated Instagram handles and websites, and they obviously weren't on the up and up as that what that entails. Neither was I. I had to look into it. I couldn't sell it to them. I don't own it. You have a CrossFit affiliate. You are leasing that CrossFit affiliate name from CrossFit. Either at the end of your lease, or you continue to lease it, or you give it back to them, but you will never fucking own it into the fact that if you own something, you can sell it back. Like I'm using a car analogy. All right. So with that, there was that. I also, I get into a space and I see everyone else doing the same thing. I was very unique when I showed up. because I just got into CrossFit early, and then I slowly just faded into the group of all of you guys. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm an individual. I cannot sleep at night if I'm not doing something a little bit different, a little bit scary, something that has not been fucked with before, and where I need 80% of people to tell me you're fucking stupid. There's no reason you should do this. And so that, again, and I had a different vision for what I think fitness looks like. Like CrossFit solidified for me, that's what fitness should look like. Give me 10 years of doing it, which I did. And then I'm like, I'm not gonna lie, CrossFit is what fitness should look like, but not the way we're all doing it. You guys all stick with your fucking overhead squats on people who've never touched the barbell before. You stick with writing the fucking scores up on the board. You stick with having this competitive culture built around the open 5 weeks out of the year, which you tell me is not a competitive culture, yet you have women crying when they don't get a score better than some fucking chick in Beijing on 19.6. No, go ahead and tell me it's no fucking different. I just didn't want to be a part of that. And I saw my market and where I am hyper locally in Charlotte, I saw an opportunity to create something better. And then it was solidified for me because Orange Theory shows up and crushes the scene. 1,500 locations in 8 years, which is faster growth than CrossFit with a price point of $350,000 or whatever it is attached to it. So I see that, and that solidifies my thought even better. These guys took it way to the soft extreme, but well branded, well organized, good narratives. CrossFit's on this end of the extreme. I'm going to go digging in the middle. I don't know what the middle looks like. I fucked with the middle as far as associating myself with businesses that I think are playing in the middle, the Metabolics of the world, the Alchemies of the world. And I started playing in that space, and I realized that even those two models were not doing the things exactly how I would think they could be done or should be done for my vision. And that's what it is. So sure, could I have stayed CrossFit SouthEnd and not had the drop off? You mentioned some numbers there, and you know, to be perfectly, I'm going to be perfectly blunt with everybody. You know, if I told everybody that we took a 30% hit in revenue, right? I think some people would be like, oh, that was a mistake then. And I'd say it wasn't. I'd say you've never fucking danced before, buddy, because sometimes you got to take one step backwards, go 2 steps forward. And I believe that short-term pain, if like you think you're going to be an entrepreneur and you're just going to catch it and just ride it and it's going to be a linear periodization, just nice and tight, you're not going to have downticks. I truly question like the resolve and the resiliency you're going to have when something does happen. I gave myself an economic downtick before the recession is going to hit, whenever the fuck that's going to be. Right. Like and anyway, so with that being said, I had a different core value and core vision kind of come to align. Urbn Mvmnt is the manifestation of that. We do not have it figured out. Nobody knows we exist in the grand scheme of things compared to a CrossFit gym, right? My branding is nowhere near. I'm a fucking ant in a world of lions. And I go into work every single day and we figure out how we can do that better and better and better. And every day it's just getting better and better and better. And I see where the trajectory is, and a really long fucking answer to your question. But that's why I didn't stay comfortable.
That's great. What were some of the hardest moments along the way? Was there any points where you got certain feedback from people where you question yourself, or did that just reiterate where you were going along the way?
Yeah. No, literally, I feel like Isaac should be giving this podcast, not me. Literally every single day is are we doing the right thing? Should we have, are we doing this right? And again, it's an experiment. The thing with CrossFit gyms, and I was recently just contacted, I had a very close gym owner friend of mine, a client, say he had dinner with a bunch of gym owners in a certain area of the country, and my name came up as discussion. And a lot of people believe that because I've grown this What the Fuck Gym Talk thing, that affords me the opportunity to let my fitness business take a shit, get hit in the face from a profitability and a profit margin perspective, because I have this other form of income. And they're not wrong. I 100% make a lot more money having 2 businesses than I did with 1. And obviously it allows me, but I pulled myself out of the payroll function of CrossFit SouthEnd in 2015. I forced myself to feed myself with What the Fuck Gym Talk and force What the Fuck Gym Talk, or the gym, to not survive me anymore, to not provide for me anymore. So the business has taken a huge hit. But when we think of like the people that have the naysayers, or like, why are you doing this? Or like clients who have left, or coaches who didn't stick around, or whatever it is, it's like anyone else. It's hard to describe to them what it is I believe this vision is going to be. And my amazing staff here, that every day, all they're trying to do is, Stu, what is inside your head? How are we going to do it like this? I think I get a good idea. And like Deuce wrote this manifesto on the new class structure that is just absolutely phenomenal. We just spent the last 20 minutes jamming on it. And I think my guys, because I'm not even fully, I don't know what the plan is yet. I'm figuring out every day. They get in the detective seat too. They're like, well, hey, what about this? I thought of this. And sometimes I think for the guys that are questioning why you switch up your model, they don't understand, but I can't explain it to anybody, because if I could, there would be a lot of me's around. And again, not to sound arrogant, whatever, but there's not a lot of guys that are going to take a moneymaker and break it like I did purposely. Yeah. And I know a lot of guys are waiting for me to just fucking eat shit and fold up shop and be like, I was wrong, and go back to CrossFit, which I would have no problem doing. If I do eat shit on this and I completely fail, I've got no fucking problem raising the flag back up, because I'm not romantic about an idea. I tried it. It didn't work. I wouldn't blink twice at that failure. I would not care. I would care, but I would not let it settle me. I would not let it bury me. But yeah, no, for guys that have got like, hey, why are you doing this? They need some convincing. It's like, listen, I wish I could explain it to you. I can't. I have a different idea in my head and I'm figuring it out. It's like painting. It's like, no, that's not right. Or writing a book. You write fucking 4 different editions. It's like, no, that's not what it's going to look like. And someone's like, well, what is it going to look like? I don't know yet. If I did, it would fucking be here. I would have fucking 20 franchise orders in the door right fucking now if I had it finished. I don't. But good God, it's only been 2 years. Like, this is something like, again, to really build something from scratch without VC money and stuff like that, years. Not months, right? Kind of scenario. So it's also just kind of an extreme patience game. Obviously, my real estate company and that kind of thing plays a role in the timing and the patience of stuff. But because we own this building, we'll own the next one and things like that. Actually, there's a timeline. But even if I was ready to buy a building today, I wouldn't, because I don't have my model figured out yet. We won't open our second location until this one is dialed in and everything is firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, it sounds like, from hearing you talk, you spend a lot of your time in the future. You're looking at where this thing is going, and that kind of gets you through these day-to-day hiccups that most gym owners kind of dwell on those things, whether that's, feedback from members or other things, and you're kind of just constantly looking towards that future. And
yeah, I don't live daily, weekly, or monthly. Quarterly is the lowest, is currently, and to say that is somewhat of a lie, because if I hear some bad numbers monthly, it fucking will irk at me a little. But I don't get my feelings hurt, angry, or proud unless it's a quarterly number. And I think there's a lot of guys that can't have a more of a macro, and I wouldn't even call that macro. That's more meso kind of view. That's not even completely zoomed out. There are businesses that operate without a profit margin for fucking years. Anyway, these guys that again might have some criticism or something of what it is I'm doing, or this idea of doing this, I think they have maybe too much of a micro mindset, where the day-to-day low points, no consults today. Like, if I knocked on that window right now and I said, Isaac, do we have any consults today? She'd probably say no. Well, if I let that upset me emotionally today, that will carry over to tomorrow. And I can't be like, oh, there's just one day out of 30. Oh, and 30 days out of 120 in the quarter. I've got 120 fucking at-bats. We're going to be okay. I'm not worried about micro little losses like that. And to the point, I think a lot of guys in this particular group that I was referencing earlier, that I became a small topic of at their dinner conversation, they had all rebranded. And I think a lot of people say they've rebranded, and they truly haven't. I'm really happy I'm documenting this, like literally, so that I could say, like, no, Johnny, because you were CrossFit Phoenix and you changed it to and I apologize to CrossFit Phoenix out there if they're listening, but like CrossFit Phoenix and you changed it to Phoenix Strength and Conditioning, that's not a rebrand. You repositioned. Repositioning is, my name's Stuart and I'm wearing a backwards hat and Lululemon, and then I go and change and I come back and I'm wearing a wig and maybe some women's clothes, and I tell you my name is Sally. I'm really fucking Stuart. All right, I'm just dressed differently. However, rebranding is me going down to the fucking hospital, getting my dick chopped off, tits slapped on, putting a vagina in there, and now I come back and I am truly a different person. I've got a high-pitched voice, and I fucking love magenta nail polish. Like, I'm truly a different person. That is rebranding. We completely rebranded the business. We did not just reposition. And I think a lot of guys, I think that's where the Self-Made Summit that I'm putting on comes in. I'm bringing in the businesses that actually rebranded. And when I say rebranded, they abandoned CrossFit and created something else. And look at what they've created. Who knows? Maybe in my fucking subconscious, I'm putting on the Self-Made Summit because I need the motivation. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why I started fucking with Metabolic and Alchemy 365 2 years ago. Because I need to be around the guys who were fucking winners. Do you not think Metabolic, when got rid of their CrossFit gym in 2012. They missed the gold rush. I mean, Metabolic was a underdog for a while here in Charlotte.
Yeah.
Because CrossFit was booming. And, that kind of thing motivates me. And I look up to those guys. Those guys are motivators of mine. And I won't fucking stop until I've either completely failed and I'll go down swinging, or until we've made it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the fact that you're willing to iterate and evolve this thing, you're going to end up with something that's fantastic. Most people are kind of stuck on one idea and then hoping that thing works out and then just kind of beating their head against the wall. So it's only a matter of time before that thing clicks.
And a lot of those gyms that rebrand, I think they truly have some different ideas. They're afraid to leave the reservation of what's working, though. And I think when they see someone not have that fear or that fuck it, it's very easy. Like, it's way easier to be a critic than it is a creator. Anyone listening, write that fucking thing down. It is way easier to criticize than it is to create. So next time you go to criticize something, really identify, am I knocking this because I'm actually able to speak intelligently because I have created something similar and I don't think it's a good idea? Or is it because I'm maybe envious or jealous of your ability to say fuck it and try it, when secretly I changed it to Phoenix strength conditioning, but what I really wanted to do was get rid of the dropping barbell on the leaderboard. But I'm too much of a bitch to do it because I'm afraid that the inmates run the asylum and I'm going to lose my money. And I'm a slave now that I can no longer create because I don't want to upset the current inmates of that bill. And I think that's the thing that I run into a lot of, and I think a lot of guys that really hate, like, this self-made something is not popular, by the way. Like, if you look some of the messages that I get from guys that are like, listen, no disrespect, but I think it's fucked up what you're doing, trying to get gyms to de-affiliate and all that. I'm like, no, whoa, pump the brakes, homie. I'm not trying to do that. Right? This is not a fucking anti-CrossFit de-affiliation workshop. This is literally, if something's been boiling in your head that you want to do, come to the Self-Made Summit October 19th and 20th and talk to guys who have done it. And then you could walk away saying, you know what, not for me, or fuck yeah, that unlocks something that has given me the permission or the idea or the logistics to move forward with it. So, but yeah.
Cool. So I want to talk about business coaching a little bit. So just kind of like on a general level, like, what do you feel, not just you, but like, there's Two Brain and Factory Forge and all these business coaches out there. What do you think the primary value is that the consulting as a whole in our industry brings to the table?
Yeah. So I hate the word consultant and mentor. I hate that word too. And I hate guru more than anything. I honestly, I'm trying to make a lot of words happen, right? It was like Mean Girls, like fetch. It's not going to happen. Like, I'm trying to make Microgym happen and Sally happen. I have all these lexicon. I'm really pushing into the ether.
So what do we call you?
I think it's problem solver. I think that's what I am. I am a problem solver. People call me because they have a problem. I prevent solutions. Some of those solutions are enroll in Microgym University because you don't really need me. Like, there's constructs and models out there you just weren't aware of. Like, oh, I didn't realize that the 4 ways to compensate someone were hourly, salary, performance, and commission, and then barter. And I didn't realize that out of those 4, there's 10 different ways to do that on each one of those. And I can pick and choose. Like, I just wasn't aware those existed. Yeah. I didn't know you could have a hybrid salary and a commission-based kind of structure. I didn't realize you could pay people based on retention. And like, there might be just things they don't know. And that's why it's Microgym University for education, right? So like, that is where you go to learn. Could this thing, like what, you and me do, we talk to people, my one-on-one calls, that is, I have a specific problem and I want a specific answer, and I'm willing to pay the price to get your time to solve my specific answer. I could go talk to my friends, my family, my wife's dad. I could go talk to the other business owners, but nobody understands my microgym problem like you might understand my microgym problem. Please help me solve my problem. That's what I do.
How much of it is you coming up with a more creative solution that they haven't thought of yet versus telling them the 5 other things not to do that they were thinking about doing and actually making them choose the thing they already sort of knew they were supposed to do in the first place?
I would say a lot of the time the creative process is on me, which is unfortunate because that's an unscalable thing, right? That's very tough. Um, and I'd say the other, that's 50, and then the other 50% of they toyed with the idea. So here's a great one. Gym owner is burnt out, but can't afford full-time staff. They've done everything in their power to possibly grow the business other than raise their fucking prices. They've known that was a topic that I probably was going to bring. They have people like, I know you're going to tell me to raise my prices. I'm like, then why don't we just start with that? The thing
Yeah.
that I'm probably going to say is the thing that we should probably focus. And what they need is they need someone to give them the game plan of this is how it'll happen, to reassure them with some stats that I have from doing it previously, to show them play Nostradamus and, this is what the future is going to look like. And then that puts them at ease. And I pay for that I have a marketing and branding coach that when we were doing everything, we had to sit down and we had to show me like what this was going to look like and sound like and feel like. And that put my mind at ease, because in my mind, and just like any of these other entrepreneurs and microgym owners that are listening to this, that is a fucking closet of like gremlins and like that are all on acid and fucking like and they're just fucking insane in there. And you need someone that like walk in the door and be like, listen here, gremlins, calm the fuck down. All right, relax. Let me pull one at a time out of the closet and show you how we're going to fix this issue or how we're going to address this thing that's bouncing around in your head. So I would say it's 50-50, a creative process that I install or an affirmation on something they had already thought of, but they were afraid to pull the trigger on.
Yeah, I feel like the price racing I've heard you talk about, just countless times. Is that like probably the number one thing that you bring to the table that like sort of your specialty as a coach? And not to say that's the only thing, but like, what do you feel some of your strengths are as a coach?
That was my busiest piece of work. And then I think I started making a lot. And again, I will say this, the CrossFit Open really screwed a lot of people. The reason it was my busiest piece of work is I had a few pieces of content do well where I talked about starting to plan your price raise in the fourth quarter and then doing the price raise in the second or third week of the Open, which is the first quarter of the year, is the best timing for it. Well, now that is gone. Now the Open is, and the reason why, if you're a CrossFit affiliate listening to this, because your members are never going to be more involved in your gym as they are during the Open. If you're a CrossFit model that does the Open, it's generally a great time to do a move like that. Now with the Open being in October, you're raising prices on people in the worst quarter of the year to do so, which is the fourth quarter. Travel's the highest, credit card debt's the highest. Nationwide, it's a very tough time to tell people you're ramping up their services because probably their attendance is going down because they're traveling for the holidays and this, that, and the other thing. Sorry, again, as a CrossFit affiliate, that sucks. But you don't have to do it during the Open. We still do price raises. I just did one overseas actually, not during the Open. So, but yeah, that was a big piece of work in the beginning. Now, PT First is a big piece of my work, installing that process into a gym who has finally heard it. I think that'll continue to be a big piece. I think it'll be one of the most purchased courses, the sales and PT First course from Microgym University. And brand redesign, right? I take people through books like Traction and Primal Branding, and we literally hours and hours and hours and hours before we even get possibly the name of a business, possibly a tagline. But literally, like, it's so crazy. I'm like, you're literally right now thinking, why in the world am I going to pay this money to do a brand design with you? And then literally after the first call, like, holy fuck, that was so much, yet we got nowhere. And I'm like, that's what this takes. Like, you don't understand. There is no like, there's not like this like fucking like a hopper and it just like boom and pull out. Evo. Would you like that name in there? Let's slap that in, like Evo Fit, like whatever. Like, you can't just, that's not how it's created. There is so much abstract work that goes into it to make it actually work. Because then you got brands like, oh, I know if I say something cliche, it's going to actually be the name of someone's gym. Like, Slit Throat Fitness, and then they want, their slogan and tagline is like making this the best hour of your day. Like, no, like that's not gonna work for Slit Throat Fitness. Like, the branding is way off, homie. So anyway, the industrial gyms that are trying to make the front desk look modern as hell, and then they send me, they're like, I just spent $4,000 on all this interior design, and I look at it, something's not right. I'm like, because the entire building is an industrial warehouse and you bought everything from Pier 1. Like it looks like fucking like it's the wrong. It doesn't make sense aesthetically because a lot of us don't have that abstract mind to be able to look at things like this connects the dots. The Tetris blocks fit together well, like this. This doesn't look good. And I'm no interior designer by any means. I've gotten way, 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 way better in the past 5 years with everything we've done with the building and working with other gyms. But I would say that like literally creating reception areas. I've literally concept gyms are a big part of my work. So a couple guys that are getting together to open a gym or a single owner who's in concept, and we take it from concept to grand opening and so on and so forth. So
nice. Who coaches you? Have you had a coach along the way? Do you have a coach right now?
I have 3 individuals that I confide in the most. I have 3 mentors that I confide in. One of them is on branding and marketing, which everyone knows, which is Joe Tabaldi. Another one is on the real estate side. His name is Ed Maciejewski. And another one is my father-in-law, who is I married into his genius of not only branding, but he's an architect by design, but he doesn't build houses. He builds cities. So he is a urban designer. And when I listen to him craft and talk about urban design, it is so very similar to some of the constructs I think of creating a community inside of the gym. And what I've done here with Urbn Mvmnt with the different elements of the coffee into this, whatever, he 100% is. But I do not have a microgym coach. I don't have that.
Have you ever had one?
No, never had a microgym coach. Billy Kinsinger and Ambrose Laburu, when I first got in, they were my at Globo Gym. They mentored me and trained me for over 2 years in sales, staffing, hiring, developing, leadership, all of that. Because again, I talk about my Globo Gym experience as business school for fitness. Mm-hmm. And I would say Billy Kinsinger and Ambrose Laburu were 2 incredible mentors for over 2 years I had on that side. But on this side, no. I will learn from, but again, I don't have a mentor. I will associate with colleagues like Brandon Cullen at Metabolic and Mike Jones at Alchemy 365 and Steve Pinkerton at Vitality Fitness. And I have colleagues I will consult with and talk with on topics if I'm stuck to get a different perspective. I'm surely not, I'm the most coachable person ever, but I do not have a direct kind of micro gym business coach.
Cool. How have you evolved as a coach? And, like thinking not necessarily just in terms of what you're teaching, but from being a coach over the last few years on the business side. Obviously, you've been doing CrossFit for a long time, but like, how have you evolved as a coach? And I'm asking more of this, again, kind of selfishly of, I talk with a lot of gym owners. I don't have any formal coaching relationships with any at this time. And I'm just kind of curious, like, what were some of the early mistakes you made with your business coaching, and how have you evolved in that?
So when I started, because I was a nobody, I did what a lot of us do with the gym. I made the same mistakes out of necessity. A lot of the mistakes we talk shit on, like, and again, I'm gonna expose a lot of these business coaches, myself included. We tell everyone, don't have low pricing to get people in the door. Don't do it. It kills the value of what you have or whatever. However, if you step into a market with 0 credentials, 0 authority, right? You will not ever be known. So if anyone remembers how I started this, in 2015, I started posting videos off my iPhone and I started distributing them into CrossFit affiliate owners groups all over the world, different Facebook groups.
That you've since been kicked out of.
Yeah, that's been kicked out of the majority of them, right? Because they thought it was self-promoting, even though I never, ever, ever have had a call to action in there, except for maybe like, hey, we're doing a self-made stuff. Like now in 2018 and 19, I think I've dropped some calls to action because I've earned it with the reputation. But early days, never. It was just information. And they still kicked me out. Anyway, I did X amount of calls in the beginning for free. I just got gym owners to come on who were interested in doing a thing that I had done. So I had the experience, but I wasn't trading monetary dollars for that experience. I was trading content because I knew the only way to create money was to create content, and I needed content. So I did these screens just like you and me are doing right now in Skype, and I record them. And that was, if anyone's watched my content, they saw so much of that. There was a handful of them, 3 or 4 videos that were free in the beginning. Sean Ryder owns Shenandoah Fit, was my first, I think, paid one, possibly. He was one of the first. And it was $100 an hour. $100 an hour to speak to me. And at the time, I was like, well, that's more than my personal training rate. So this is pretty good. I think it makes me accessible to the market. Now, and in complete no bullshit transparency, there are people that pay $400 a month to speak to me for 30 minutes. So as I exchanged content for free information. I harnessed that content. I distributed it. I was then able to go ahead and make a switch to, okay, and the next guy coming, oh, how much is it? Because they didn't know. They didn't know everybody else was free that I've been talking to. It was $100 an hour. And I literally went from $100 an hour, and I did a price raise, and we did a second price raise. And now, the hourly is, at a minimum, it's around 300, 360 an hour. Ballpark. And that was it. That was but I don't look at that as a mistake. I look at that as like, the reason I want to call this out and I'm telling this story and dropping these numbers is because for the gyms that are like, yeah, I had to have low price. Like, I don't think you need to start with basement pricing. I also didn't know what to charge. Like, I consulted with consultants and they're like, well, yeah, we charge $450, but I'm also working for Microsoft as a consultant. I'm like, fuck, well, what do I do in the microgym market? So it was an experiment. But I raised prices very quickly. I was very quick to raise prices, and I followed my own advice on that, exactly how I would do one with a gym, it's just always been, it's always how it's worked. So I would say in the very beginning, from a business coaching for you, you need to be sitting on a mountain of content that transcends just audio. You need to become a video force. People have to see your face. I think people trust faces, and you know what people trust is authenticity. My podcast works because you hear the tone of my voice. My videos work because you hear the tone of my voice. I stopped writing articles because the tone of my voice, the tone of the way I talk doesn't transcribe well in written word. Mm-hmm. Leave that to Chris Cooper, all right? I'm better on video because people, I think, can feel my authenticity more. I think if you read the written word, you think I'm a douche, okay? So I think it's also you got to sit on a certain library, a certain bulk of content to be able to demand any kind of price point. To be like, well, because that essentially is, why should I pay you? Have you not seen those 15 fucking videos? They're averaging 4 to 7 minutes a fucking video. Did you not get enough information there to see that? Like, you were the one who contacted me for the call. Of course, there's fucking value on my end, right? So, yeah.
How much of it was, you started free. When you began to charge, how much was that? I feel like I can deserve to charge because people have seen my content, they're willing to pay, versus I'm ready to charge because I feel like I'm delivering so much value that they're going to more than make this money back in return. How much of it was you seeing it as like, okay, now there's a brand there versus like, now I can deliver that value? Or was it a combination of both?
I think it was a combination of both, but honestly, it was math. I knew how much money I wanted to make doing this. I knew how many hours, because at this point, I'm not working in the gym. Remember, I've been able to walk away from that. So I knew how many hours a day I wanted to work, and I just did math in my head. And I remember when I was like, I swear, when I get to making $1,500, that was 15 calls back then, 15 calls a week, 3 calls a day, Monday through Friday. When I make $1,500 a week, $6,000 a month, I'll be good. And it's so fun, like Chris Webster, because I remember he was my full-time videographer at the time, helping me make content as I started getting into the paid gigs. And he would always come in, I had on the boards like, where are we at now? How many calls we got booked this week? And he was always really motivating and like, cool, we're getting there, buddy. And then we just crushed that. And the price had to go up and all this other stuff. But yeah, it was math for me. I just had a number in my head of how much money I wanted to make per month extra. I was like, fuck, if I can make an extra $6,000 a month on my side hustle, working 3 hours a day, fuck yeah, I'd be plenty happy with that. And that's where I started it with math. I didn't really start it on like, man, when I feel like I've done this, or when the market feels like I'm smart enough and I've delivered enough value. It was just math. That's where the pricing, that's where $100, probably came from. That's where how many calls per week I would do. Like, I literally would only take those 15. That was it. No more, But yeah, math was the driving force there.
So now that this thing has evolved over the years, and it sounds like filling your book of business on the consulting side isn't an issue. You have a new project in Microgym University, and I've heard you talk about before, like, WTF Gym Talk is a job. It's not a business yet. Now, yeah. I see Microgym University, if you're throwing that under the same umbrella, that potentially makes this a business. So where do you see the future on kind of the consulting plus like the school side of things going? Do you see yourself kind of getting out of this job of the consulting?
I've talked about this. I believe I'm going to continue doing consulting until we probably move on location 2. right? Location 2 there. What happens there? Again, my network, since I started doing What the Fuck Gym Talk, has grown exponentially. It would be foolish and it'd be lying if I said that it doesn't cross my mind that doing What the Fuck Gym Talk from 2015 till 2022 crazily opens my network. And somebody's like, I love what I've heard you talking about for the past 3 years with Urbn Movement. I am part of a small VC equity fund. Let's make this thing happen. And you have a built-in application pool. The second Stu Brauer in 2021, because you at that point, you don't have 46 vlogs, you have 246 vlogs. You have a bigger influence, says he is opening franchise applications for Urbn Movement. I know I can cash in on that. I know you are the right jockey and you've been fucking developing this horse for a very long time. I would 100% say that is, and when I talk about the content and why I talk to the F45s and I fuck around with all these, is to increase my network. If and when I decide to franchise Urbn Movement, I will have a built-in application pool. I will have people who are tired of running their own business. Maybe they never hired me as a coach, but they've been listening to me for years and they're like, fuck this. I love everything I've heard. I've dropped in at his gym. I went to one of his PT first things. I saw whatever. I'm in on that. I 100% understand I will have that opportunity. Just like Jason Khalipa, if he did it right now, same thing. If he said he was franchising NC Fit, he'd have more applications than he would want to allow. Like, and I'm 100% aware of that. Let's say I don't franchise it though. Let's say they stay corporate owned, like what Alchemy 365 does. I will probably at some point take a back seat to the consulting. I will always, like, I really have fallen in love with this. While we're tweaking these classes, I've been jumping in maybe once a week to coach a class, whatever, to kind of see how that new class flow and what we're doing differently with the classes, how that feels from on my end. Because I take classes, but I like to jump in behind that seat as well as a coach. I'll be doing a little bit more of that. I'll be back in the gym owner role because I tell people, like, again, no offense to Coop and Khalipa and some of these other guys, but like, I'm not trying to grow the biggest consulting company. I don't think he's not trying to grow a consulting company. He's trying to grow a fitness business. Mm-hmm. Coop is trying to grow a consulting company, which I fucking love. He's trying to help 1 million entrepreneurs, which I think is a noble, amazing mission. I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to, for a period of time, you'll have access to work with someone like me. If you relate to me, like me, whatever, you like my content. And then that could shrink down to where you won't be able to afford it because I'll have to jack the pricing up because my availability will be so low. And because then if I do that, it's because there was a devastating loss to my family, my personal life, or we're doing more things with Urbn Movement because I'm a gym owner first and foremost before I am a problem solver.
So it sounds like Urbn Movement's still like the lead horse. So Microgym University, WTF Gym Talk, those are all in your mind still feeding Urbn Movement, which is the number one goal for you, is to get that.
And not feeding it. I mean, like, I wouldn't say feed. I would say it's what I occupy my Microgym University and What the Fuck Gym Talk occupy my entire day, all day, every day. Urbn Movement occupies pockets of it throughout the week and throughout the month, but it is not my primary time. That is, Deuce and Isaac. That is their everyday grind kind of scenario. However, though, as we're going through this learning process and this, we've rebranded, but as we're going through figuring out the model, as that gets further along, we start figuring it out more. And I start thinking about that second location and maybe we purchase that other building by the end of 2019. Mm-hmm. Now my role will start going back over there. So it's just kind of depending on what, like right now, my role in the business is not needed to be super high, more in the design side than anything else. And but Microgym University, my need in the doing and the technician side and What the Fuck Gym Talk is extremely high. I've still got to edit this fucking vlog today. Like, I've got to do the doing in What the Fuck Gym Talk and Microgym. So but
ultimately you're not looking to have one or two successful Urbn Movements so you can have this amazing consulting business and online school. You're looking to have this great consulting business and online school so you can then hopefully open 50 Urbn Movements or 1,000 Urbn
that way. Now, again, what happens if I decide I'm going to corporate own them? I'm not going to franchise them. So my awesome network of people who like my content and follow it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Right. So now I still balance the two. Like I'm still, like, again, I'm selfishly looking to talk more with Mike and Brandon about where we end up going with multiple locations. Right. So, yeah, I mean, that is like, again, when I look at the game of chess of where my mind is on all this, sure, could franchising or licensing like OPEX be in the future. And then this built-in clientele that I've built up or whatever, these believers in me, maybe be interested in. Sure, maybe, of course, that's just logic. But I'm not drawing that plan up. I just realized that could potentially be a journey that this goes down. But yeah.
Okay. How do you think about taking on new projects? You know, you got your hands in a lot of different things, stuff that we mentioned. You have the vlog now, which we haven't really talked about. You know, you got the real estate side, you know,
getting my commercial broker's license. I'm going to go get my commercial real estate license.
Yeah. So I imagine you have a ton of ideas, right? How do you decide which things to take on and which things to put off? And like, what's something right now that you want to take on that either due to procrastination or, you know, fear or just not having the resources yet, the time, the money, et cetera, that you haven't dabbled into?
So I will, by the end of 2019, I want to have my commercial real estate license. I'm not doing it right now because I'm too busy. Microgym University isn't out yet. Once it's out, boom, I will 100% be enrolling in commercial real estate school. I'll be attending classes 4 to 5 hours a day, twice a week for 8 weeks. And I will be a licensed commercial broker here in Charlotte, North Carolina. There are certain states that have reciprocity. So anyone listening to this, you might be able to hire What the Fuck Gym Talk to be your broker to come fly down, meet with you, find a location, help you buy a building, work with somebody who understands the micro gym needs of a building, whatever, and you not get fucked on your lease. Anyone listening to this who's ever been fucked on a lease, my goal is to make sure that doesn't happen to anyone I work with, because that is one of the biggest pain points I see. Anyone who's got the aspirations to buy buildings, again, there's a very small pool of microgym owners who have done this and then facilitated it elsewhere. I've been facilitating and helping people buy buildings now for the past 2 years. I haven't made any commission on it. Now it'll be legal. Now I'll be able to, depending on which states and reciprocity and things like that. But anyway, that is one. And then up above me right now, there's 500 square feet up there. Currently in works with a tech company right now. We're going to create a content creation suite that'll have 2 podcasting studios, a video production room, an editing suite, and it'll be an area where content creators in Charlotte can come in. And if any of you guys follow like 368, which is a content creation studio in New York City, it will have a similar an idea behind that of people can rent it out. I'll obviously be able to use it to create content with my gym owners who do walk the walks, which is an on-site experience I do with them. Take them up there and teach them how to do a podcast. Like literally have the equipment. This is how you set it up. This is what you would play. This is how it would work. This is how you shoot content. Let's practice it. And we're going to literally practice shooting content for your gym because I know you're nervous about it. So anyway, that's the other thing that I want to do right this second, but I just fucking can't because I haven't figured out how to get more than 24 hours a day in.
Yeah.
And the 3 a.m. wake ups, I don't think I can get up any earlier and survive.
What pushed you over the edge on the vlogging? Because I know that was something you put off for a little while. What pushed you over the edge on that one?
Because I got comfortable. I had a videographer for 2 years. I didn't have to do anything. Like I was lazy as shit. I just had these guys that followed me around. Like you go from that D-Rock Gary V kind of thing where someone follows you around and you get comfortable with that douchebaggery. And you're like, man, there's nothing douchier than having this guy with a camera. Like I'm someone important when you know you're not, when you know you're shit. And shit, not the shit. You were just shit. You were nothing. And now you have to go to holding it and being in the fucking store or walking around with it at arm's length. It is a level of douchebaggery you have to overcome. You have to really deep reach into your pocket. So anyone who's been thinking about creating content and you're nervous about being embarrassed to do it, here's my tip. Reach deep into your pocket. All right, reach into there and look for all the fucks, okay? Pull out all the fucks that you give. I don't want to look stupid. I'm embarrassed. Maybe I'm not good looking enough. I'm not funny. People are going to be thinking about me. Take all those fucks out of your pocket. Throw them away until when you reach in your pocket, there are no fucks to give. And I'm telling you, when you get to a place where you don't give a fuck what anybody thinks when you're making a video, and I've never once, besides like a buddy of mine driving by that goes like, hey, douchebag, like, you know, he sees me on the street with my boost or whatever. I've never had anyone say anything negative. I've always had people go, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I record content. I create content for gym owners. That is so cool. Like, what do you up? Like, it's been nothing but genuine interest and awesome, man. Cool. Like it's been nothing but positive. I was so afraid people were going to like come up to me and be like, hey, who the fuck do you think you are? It's been nothing but amazing support from random people at the fucking airport, at a fucking bar, going to gyms that I didn't tell them I was walking in with a camera. Like it's been nothing but amazing support. So yeah, that the vlog, that was probably the biggest thing. And then the editing. I'll edit, it takes me a long time to edit it. And I won't outsource this again until I figure out the style of the vlog. And I'm only 43 episodes in. The other one just dropped today. I guarantee you I don't have that figured out even by the 100th episode. I guarantee you I don't have that figured out. Just figuring out my flow, my style, how I want it to go. Because we could hire the editor again and the videographer today to do it. I wanted control, but I wanted to feel like my brand. And just like Urbn Mvmnt, What the Fuck Gym Talk still establishing who this guy is. What do I call you? Do I call you Stu or do I call you What the Fuck Gym Talk? Right? Like you gotta call again. What is it? Is this a guy who has a channel in which he acts as What the Fuck? Like it
Right.
takes on its own thing as any personal brand does. So that was honestly probably the thing that slowed me down the most, was figuring out how to get over the douchebaggery. But I got rid of all those fucks in my pocket, and I'm living life fucking feeling good about when I go walking in anywhere carrying a camera in my hand. That camera's in my hand more than anything. I mean, but anyway, but it's a lot of fun too. Some really cool moments you capture when you have a camera on you at all times. And it's the permission when people get comfortable that you have a camera on you at all times and you hold it up. Like no one's like, what are you doing? They're like, oh, that's what that asshole does. He just films everything.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a huge fan of the vlog. I've really enjoyed it. So I'm glad that you're doing it.
I appreciate it.
And sticking with it. So I know you watch a lot of YouTube. I've gotten into YouTube recently. And I was wondering if you had any like favorite resources on there, related to gyms, unrelated to gyms, favorite channels, anything like that.
So the best thing about YouTube is that anything you watch, the thing that I love about it, it's not a certain YouTuber or a vlogger that I've fallen in love with. It is the platform that just breeds creativity. I don't watch YouTube without my notes on my phone ready to go, because I will see something another creator did and be like, fuck, I could do something like I know exactly how I would relate that to What the Fuck Gym Talk. And I take notes. And I'm not just talking like editing styles. I'm talking about like even just genres of what they cover and how they cover it. But I'm a huge fan of like Casey Neistat. Obviously, anyone who watches my stuff knows that I've watched a one or two Casey Neistat vlogs in the past. His stuff, if you've never watched it, watch it from day one all the way through. And it is it's amazing just what his vlogging shows you, is not the editing style, what the authenticity of a human being can really do. You look at guys like David Dobrik, who put together a 4-minute and 20-second vlog. It's only 4 minutes and 20 seconds every single one. He does 2 a week, and they're super fast-paced skits. Fast-paced, funny little corpse. He finds the funniest fucking sections of hanging out with him and his wild friends. And I love that, because if you watch my vlogs, it's not telling a story of my day. It's just quick little interactions or calls or meetings or thoughts. I'm trying to just get as much information, because I know you have a lot of content to consume, and I'm just happy that you're consuming mine for the period of time. So I want to cram as much of it as I can in there. So I pulled that from him. Danny Gonzalez. Anyone watches Danny Gonzalez? He does reaction videos. This is a kid who just watches cringy, funny fucking things on the internet, and then he does a reaction video to them. I got to do that reaction video for Craig Ritchie's podcast with Greg Glassman, and that was the most fun. I've got a couple other ones that I want to do, but his videos, they are like how when you're short on content, you're not. There's content right now, like when I say nobody, I haven't published yet, like the response to a Jillian Michaels interview, right? Or like I haven't published my response to the next thing that's going to happen. It's going to be trendy in fucking CrossFit land, right? Business wise, like Zen Planner. Anyone know that the biggest A&M in the microgym scene since what's called the CrossFit scene just happened? Zen Planner just purchased Sugar Wad.
Yeah.
It's a huge deal. That's a huge deal. Someone needs to comment on it. It's a really big fucking deal. There is really good things that are going to happen. Do you see NC Fit is now partnering with Wodify? Someone needs to make the conversation about the A&Ms that are happening in the microgym scene, and who is going to partner with who, and what is that going to look like, and how does that extra, now if you're a Zen Planner, you're now associated with Chris Cooper and Two Brain and Up Launch and Sugar Wad. Yeah. And if you're not on Zen Planner, you're on Wodify, you're now with the NC Collective. Like, this is going to change the business landscape a little bit, but this is what happens in every other industry, right? I use Acuity scheduling. Acuity just got bought by Squarespace, right? And now there's going to be elements that change my Acuity experience. Anyway, so I think YouTube has given me the opportunity, and for anyone listening, go to YouTube, because it just forces you to see what creatives do with nothing more than a $600 camera and what's in between the ears to create some interesting content. It shows, it gives you good content ideas.
Cool. So yeah, I don't want to take too much more of your time. Do you have any other resources, outside of, I kind of find that, there's so many resources in our space, it's some of the stuff gets repetitive at times. Do you have any influential resources for you that have been sort of unrelated to the gym industry, but have helped you along the way? Documentaries, books, anything like that you can think of?
Netflix has done some really cool abstract, like The Creative Brain is a documentary that Netflix has right now. I'm a big fan of documentaries. Anyone who watched the Defiance documentary, which I think was a 5 or 6, the Defiant ones on HBO, was a 5 or 6 part documentary on hip hop and rap. Yeah. Going all the way from, the West Coast, East Coast, Tupac, Biggie days, all the way to Beats being acquired by Apple and Dr. Dre, them cashing out. If you can't watch that and walk away with 15 to 30 different entrepreneur nuggets out of there, like stuff like that, I can dive deep into that. Like that is something like I could watch a documentary that has nothing to do with it. I think honestly, the best thing to do though is to become more of a customer. Everyone that's listening to this that owns a gym, ask yourself this honest question. What subscription do you have personally, not business? So like my clients who are listening, don't talk about your fucking $2,000 a month subscription to What the Fuck Gym Talk. Talk about what subscription do you have as a personal human being that rivals your gym payment? So many gym owners are the sellers of a $200 a month subscription, yet they don't own a subscription more than $30 a month. Maybe it's Birchbox or Wadbox or Bomb, whatever the fuck it's called, or Netflix. Does that not blow your goddamn mind? Does that, like that there just alone, go become a consumer of a subscription brick and mortar, either another gym or a Massage Envy or somewhere else, like where you go and you pay X amount of money, you go to a place at certain times per week or per month and you get an experience. The best learning happens there, not in my content, not in a book, not whatever. The best fucking teacher is going to be the streets, which is just the language for experience. And that's what I believe. Like everyone always wonders like, oh man, I never heard of Rise Nation. I never heard of Metabolic before you. It's because you're not fucking looking. I subscribe to Well and Good, Pop Sugar, every New York hot blog writer that talks about fitness, because any new fucking things in fitness happen in New York or LA first. Months and months before you will ever hear about them, all you lowly little gym owners like myself, before it would ever hit our fucking radio waves, find out who the most popular fitness bloggers are. I'm trying to think of a few of them off the top of my head right now. I'm drawing a blank, but Well and Good and Pop Sugar are great. And there's always an article I literally was just reading one before this call. Perfect. Sweat in the City. Fuck, that's good. Sweat in the City blog post. The best studios to bring your guy to in New York City. And they talk about a couple brands there I guarantee you fuckers have never heard of. And that is where you can start kind of honing in and now take something that reading some chick's blog post about her experience there, and it can lead you down a rabbit hole to find out that Tone House is an athletic strength and conditioning group fitness environment, and they have less than 2,000 square feet and they have 582 members. And you're like, how in the world does that happen? And then maybe you decide to fucking take a $200 trip to fucking New York City for a day and take a class there and actually learn. So experience the streets, taking field trips. I'm just such a huge fan of that aspect of learning.
Cool. So how do you know what to incorporate and what to kind of leave out? Because like I imagine that it's easy to try to slap something onto your current list. It's going to work out, and it's not in line with the brand and anything else that you do.
No one's going to like this answer. If it doesn't come to you, you don't get to have it. Not everyone's meant to fucking figure it out. By the way, anyone coming to the Self-Made Summit, don't fucking think for a goddamn second that buying a $600 ticket to this thing, you're going to walk out and be like, I had the epiphany of the best class idea that no one in the world has ever thought of. Now, that might happen, and I really hope for your testimonial thereafter, okay? But, guys, if you don't have it, you don't get it. If you are not in possession of the ability to look at something and see the world differently, you don't get to fucking have it, and there's no equation I can draw up for you that says, well, yeah, but if you think of it like this and you look at that and you steal this and change it to this and put it in your branding, that's how it comes out and now you make $1 million. That's not how this works. If you don't get it, you don't get to have it. So I would tell you that so to answer your question, how do I know what to keep or what to use or how to take that information and boil it down? I don't know. I can't tell you how my brain thinks, right? I can't tell you that like why I decided to take a rig out and why I decided to do this with Urbn Mvmnt, whatever the coffee shop. There's no equation for that. But you guys, you'll never know if you've got it unless you expose yourself to different things. That's one of the best things to do in your gym is to have some people come in who don't get the industry and they'd be like, man, it's really tight in here, huh? Yeah, that's one of my biggest issues. I just can't fit enough people. And they're like, well, do you really need that big pull-up thing? What's that called again? Like with someone, and you're like, well, no, I of course we need it. Like we do all kinds of stuff on it. I'm a CrossFit gym. I have to have it. And someone's like, yeah, but what if you didn't have it? And it's just for someone to think differently about an experience that like our constructs of microgym owners have just ingrained us into a box. It's why my logo is a broken box, because that embodies everything with the Urbn Mvmnt spilling out of the box like fucking brain vomit every night when I wake up. Like, how do I'm doing this differently, and I've got to put all the pieces, the Tetris pieces together for it to actually make sense to people. But yeah, no, if you don't have it, you won't have it, but you'll never know if you've got it, that ability to create, until you go and look at some art. Look at what other people have created. Good artists borrow, great artists steal. And that just means you get inspired by other people. You don't plagiarize. But go get inspired, and you won't get inspired staying inside your 4 fucking walls and staring at my fucking face on a YouTube channel. But seriously though, everyone needs to go subscribe. I would really appreciate that. But yeah, after you watch my fucking face on YouTube, then go to New York City or these other awesome places and check out what they're doing.
Cool. We'll wrap up on that. Can you tell us a little bit about just where to find you and tell us a little about, Microgym University and this, you just give us the details on the event.
Yeah.
Over as well.
So bad with URLs. So I'm not even going to try this URL thing. If you have questions on Microgym University or Self-Made Summit, you can go to What the Fuck Gym Talk / a bunch of bullshit that I don't remember because Joe handles all that stuff. Bottom line is, go to the link in my bio on Instagram. Any important information you could ever want, my vlog, Microgym University information and tickets, Self-Made Summit tickets and shit like that. It's all there in the link in the bio at WTF Gym Talk. Anywhere, because surprisingly enough, that handle has not been taken by anybody because no one fucking wants it. But at WTF Gym Talk, Instagram, whatever, that's where you can go to learn more about anything. And I am so quick on the DM. Anybody who DMs me, you will get an in-person phone call, video message, or audio message, or response very promptly. I'm very quick on that. But yeah, if anyone has any other questions, that's how to do it.
Cool. Yeah, and I can reiterate that you are one of the most accessible and helpful people out there. So appreciate it, Stu. Thanks for taking the time.
Absolutely, man. This is a blast. Thank you.